morning, everybody. It's your boy D Max. Let's talk. So I waited a little bit before I spoke on Anthony Joshua because I wanted to let the hoopla die down a little bit so we could really break this down a little bit. I did a show probably about 2 weeks ago, maybe, and I was talking about Anthony Joshua. I was talking about Tyson Fury, and I was talking about Deontay Wilder because I was saying that the heavyweight division, which used to be one of the highest coveted divisions, has fallen a long, long ways because of the types of champions that we have in the heavyweight division now. And they're softer than wet toilet paper, in my opinion. And Anthony Joshua was the focus point of my conversation because I feel like Anthony Joshua is the Dwight Howard of boxing. He's a big man. He has an imposing figure, but he's softer than wet toilet paper. He's not going to come in there with that killer instinct to take somebody out. If Anthony Joshua had Deontay Wilder's attitude, then he would be a real problem. But I don't see Anthony Joshua being a problem other than the problem of being a good representation of a champion. Because Anthony Joshua, it seems to me like he will go into a fight and he will play it safe. That whole entire fight, I didn't see him do anything to impose his will on his opponent, and Usyk was just eating his punches. So basically, if you have a good jaw, you can beat Anthony Joshua because his punches lack power. Anthony Joshua is the shell of a big man. He looks very intimidating. He looks like he can take a barbell and bend it in half and all of that stuff, but he has none of that power. And I just read a report about him saying that he likes to eat vegan bef- during his training before he has a fight. And I think that has a lot to do with his lack of power because Andy Ruiz, that first fight was just eating his shots. And same thing with Alexander Usyk. Usyk came in and Usyk, he stated after the fight, he said, I thought he'd be tougher. But that just goes to show how soft Anthony Joshua can be and how timid he can be. And he does not have the killer instinct to be a great heavyweight champion. Now, I've said before that, being undefeated is not what makes a great champion. So it's not about the fact that he got beat. If he got beat in a good fight, then I would be able to accept that. But that was not a good fight at all. You could see that he was gun shy. Why? Because he remembers getting knocked out. This is something that I always revert back to because today's boxers, once they've been knocked out one time, they lose all trigger. They lose all of their what's the word I'm looking for? All of their desire to be a killer in a sense. They'll always have in the back of their mind of that knockout when they got knocked out and they don't want to be put in that position again and it'll cause them to be gunshot. And I think that's what happened to Anthony Joshua. He he's gunshot. He didn't want to be embarrassed again like he was with Andy Ruiz because there was a lot of memes made about Anthony Joshua after Andy Ruiz put them things on him because a couple of those knockdowns was pretty funny looking. He had the chicken legs, he had the rubber legs a couple times in there. And they put so much emphasis on not being seen as weak that they will in turn make themselves weak. And this is what Anthony Joshua does. He came into this fight timid. He came into this fight not ready, and it showed. And I don't know where he goes from here. I don't even know if he'll be able to get those belts back from Usyk because Usyk is not Andy Ruiz. So let's go ahead and put that out there. And no disrespect to Andy Ruiz because he is a top tier fighter, but that says a lot about where the heavyweight division is. because Andy Ruiz, even though he may train and this and that, come on, let's look at his body. That is not a fighter's body. That is not somebody who dedicates their time to the craft, because you know that as a boxer, you have to be in tip top shape to be able to endure. And the body and the frame that Andy Ruiz is carrying is not going to be conducive to the fight game for a long period of time. His knees are going to give out, his back going to start wearing out for trying to carry that big heavy frame and do the things that we're required to do in the boxing ring. So to look at Anthony Joshua, he has the build, but he does not have the other assets that would make him a great champion. Lennox Lewis, who was another European champion, he also, I feel, didn't have that killer instinct. I'll say that he was an intimidating force. He had some heavy hands, but he did not have a killer instinct as well, because I always allude back to the fact that he ran from Mike Tyson all the way until Mike Tyson got over the hill and Mike Tyson was on the downslide. And then that's when he fought Mike Tyson and tried to make it seem like he was a great champion. But everyone who knows boxing knows that he dodged Mike Tyson for years. And Lennox also got caught slipping, and Hasim Rockman laid him out. And, he's always had that timid side to him, and I don't know what it is. But Anthony Joshua has that same timid side that that Lennox had, and I see it, and it's just like if I saw Lennox Lewis somewhere, I wouldn't be afraid. He wouldn't put any type of caution in my heart or anything like that. He just does not have that dangerous aura about him. Neither does Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua has that um uh Clark Kent type aura to him. He has that Clark Kent swag, like the good guy who doesn't drink or doesn't do anything, and he's just pretty square. That's the type of vibe he gives off. And not to say that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's what Anthony Joshua gives off, and he's not a intimidating person at all. So having that intimidation factor on your side is a part of boxing. You want to get into your opponent's head before you even get into the fight. And so if you don't bring any intimidation whatsoever into the ring, then that's a crucial tool that your opponent is going to not have to deal with during that fight. And we know from the past that reputation pretty much wins half of your fight before you even get in the ring. Mike Tyson, before he even came into the ring, his opponents was already thinking about them being knocked out. Most of them were just in survival mode. They wanted to survive a couple of rounds, and that was a victory in itself. That's just how vicious Mike was, and that's just how intimidating he was. And he would have you already, he'd already have rent-free space in your head before you even step in the ring. What fighter today has that type of effect on anybody? I don't see anybody, not especially in the heavyweight division. Tyson Fury does not bring that. Um, he's a funny guy. He's a big guy, and he can fight a little bit, but he's not an intimidating force. Deontay Wilder tries to be an intimidating force, but Deontay Wilder is a little bit more into himself than he ought to be. And this kind of puts a damper on Deontay Wilder's image as a vicious big man, especially after he was exposed by Tyson Fury. Now, when you lose a fight, hey, I lost. Time for me to get up and come back, and I'll do, what I have to in order to get ready for the next fight and redeem myself or move forward. That's what Anthony Joshua did. So it's like you have to combine all of the heavyweights together to get one good heavyweight because all of them have a good they have some good attributes, but they don't have the whole package. And we're looking for a champion who's the whole package. So I don't know who's going to come up through the ranks at some point in time and establish themselves as that total package. But right now in the heavyweight division, we have none. Um, so the next fight to be coming up should be Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, or Usyk and whoever he wants to fight. But there's just no excitement there. And they were talking about how much revenue is going to be generated by this fight. I didn't even know the fight was this weekend. That's just how much marketing was placed behind this fight. So it just lets you know that there's not a lot of excitement in the heavyweight division. Nobody's really checking for these heavyweight fighters because it's boring. We're looking at guys like um, Tank Davis and Crawford and all of these smaller, younger guys in these lightweight divisions, in these middleweight divisions to bring entertainment. Not to mention, we look more towards celebrity boxing to get entertainment than we do from these actual professional fighters because of the simple fact that they have these powder puff fights. And Anthony Joshua didn't want to fight Usyk. He wanted to fight Tyson Fury or a Deontay Wilder. But now, in hindsight, I don't think he wanted that because he has absolutely not enough aggression to come to America and think that he's going to fight either one of these guys and really have a really good showing against him. Way too timid. And if anybody has half of a jaw, then you can out endure Anthony Joshua. So I don't know where he goes from here. Really doesn't matter too much to me because, like I said, I, along with a lot of other people, are losing interest in the heavyweight division for the simple fact of things like this. We need some real champions in the heavyweight division, and Anthony Joshua is not it. That's all I really have to say about that. This is your boy D Mac. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.